It is always great catching up with my next guest. She is going to be back in action, UFC Fight Night, February 15th. It's Julia Avila back here on the program. Julia, how you doing?
I'm feeling great. I'm really, really excited, really looking forward to this bout, really just amped to be in the cage and put on a show for all my friends and fans.
Yeah, and I was talking to you off air. It's been a while since we've seen you in the cage. Your last fight was December of 2023. Just to kind of give people the update, what did keep you out of the cage last year for people who might be wondering?
I sustained my second ACL surgery injury
Mhm.
on my right knee this time. So now I'm fully bionic. So I have both knees done, and I should be ready to rock and roll.
Okay, so you feel like RoboCop then a little bit, right? Like you got,
A
everything's,
little
or
bit.
Terminator, one of those
It's
ones, right?
just indestructible, honestly.
Yeah. What would say, but in all seriousness, like do you feel a difference with it, like in terms of like your movement and all that? Like I don't have any like replacements or anything like that. Like how does it feel just being in the gym now with having that?
So now I feel a lot stronger.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Okay.
initially it was really hard to get to this point, and an ACL injury used to be a career-ending injury,
Yeah.
and for a lot of people it still is, but it's a mental battle just as much as it is a physical one. Um, you have to keep up with all of your PT and making sure you're doing things correctly and you're not rushing,
Mhm.
which is my biggest problem. But yeah, I think I feel really good. I feel really confident. And like I said, I feel like bionic.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm glad everything worked out. How did you get through that period? Because obviously, your mother, you've got other things going on aside from fighting, and you're having to do these PT appointments. Like, how did you get through that? You mentioned it's like a daily grind. Is it leaning on the husband? Like, how did you sort of get through that situation? Because I imagine it's pretty tough.
It is really tough. And my first go around, I was pregnant for the duration of my recovery and my surgery. So it actually forced me to relax a little bit. The second time around, I wasn't pregnant, but I was still, having to be mobile to pick up my daughter and, go to work, and just be a person. I also live in a two-story house, so
Oh,
I'm
right.
like
Yeah.
crawling
Not easy on
up
the
and
knees.
down.
Yeah.
Um, but I do lean on my village, my tribe for a lot of support. People at the gym, parents helping me out with Eris. My husband is just the most amazing man. He helps me out with everything, but really, I've been going to a lot of therapy, and therapy has helped me a lot mentally, because, like I said, it is just as much a mental game as it is a physical one.
Okay. So you got all your bases covered. That's great. Would you say this was the right amount of time off, like to come back with everything that you had to go through, or were you hoping to fight sooner? Like, take me through sort of the timeline of getting this fight.
I probably am rushing it,
Okay.
just like probably rushed it last time.
Mhm.
Uh, but I do feel, because I'm getting older, I feel like I have a finite time to fight. And yeah, I want to get in there. I want to get in there as quick as I can. I did do a jujitsu competition. I did really well. Um, I love competing, and I want to really exploit my prime.
Of course. Yeah. No, for sure. There's only like a timeline for a lot of fighters, right? Like we're, it's not something you can control necessarily, aging and all that different stuff. And even just, the opportunities you may get. So it's understandable. Now, as far as making this decision to come back and taking this fight, was that ultimately your decision? What did your team think of it? Like, was it something that was a debate, or were you all on the same page and are like, okay, this is the right time? Because you mentioned it might be a bit too early.
It was my decision. I wanted to fight in this first quarter of 2025. Um, and I really want to test my body. Like I did say, I do feel like I have a limited amount of time, but with that being said, I also run circles around most teenagers. I'm strong as a bull. I'm, fast as heck. um, but I it is ultimately my decision. It's always been my decision. I don't fight for anyone else. That's a lie. I fight to celebrate the gifts that God has given me, and that is for the people, but like ultimately I want to fight.
Right.
So um yeah, it's my decision, and everyone is just in full support.
Good. Oh, that's great. Let's talk about your opponent, Jacqueline Cavalcanti, 8-1 record. What do you know about her? How do you feel like you matched up against her here?
She's a striker. She'll probably panic shoot because that's you know what, and I've done this with most of my fighters. I've been able to call their game plan. She's probably going to shoot because most people think I'm not good on the ground. I am good on the ground when I have two good knees. So or just one good knee, right?
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, I mean, take me to the ground, keep me standing. It's whatever. I know she's a striker. She's been a striker. She goes the distance, so she's durable. But I feel like she's probably going to try to keep her distance, to use her length and stay away from me,
Okay.
which is smart. I
Right.
hit
No.
pretty hard.
I don't dispute that. Absolutely. No, I would agree with that. Take me through camp a bit. I know when we've done interviews in the past, there's always been some cross training. What's camp looking like? Who are you working with ahead of this fight?
So for the most part, I've been staying at my gym, at Outsiders. I do cross train here locally a little bit. I get some looks from Oklahoma City Combat, um, and I do some striking there with James Head. But I mean, mostly it's been at home at Outsiders with Logan Swanner and Randy Ray, and my husband, and all the other coaches and training partners there.
Nice. Well, that's good. Don't have to go too far, which is nice. How does that affect your corner? Who will be in the cage with you for this fight?
It'll be my same corners.
Okay.
It's going to be my coaches, my people, my team, my family. It's always been my husband. I actually, when we first met, I told him I never wanted him to be in my corner. And after the first time I had him in the corner, I was like, all right, I'm never not going to have you in my
Yeah.
corner.
Change my mind. Yeah, exactly. Could happen.
Another one of my great friends and main training partner, Randy Ray. He's also one of my coaches, another black belt. He'll be in my corner, and Logan Swanner, who I've been working with for several years now.
Mhm.
And he's been helping me with a lot of game planning and just being a little bit more methodical and not just raging.
Right. For sure. For sure. No, you need that calm the storm, so to speak. How's the weight cut going? I know we have some time here before the fight, but I know you've been off for a while. You mentioned going to PT every day. I know diet and being a mom and all that stuff. I'm a parent. I know it's tough sometimes to make the healthiest meals, but how's all that going ahead of the fight?
The hardest part is telling my daughter no when she's shoving food in my mouth, literally shoving
Okay.
food
Yeah.
into my soul. And she's so sweet, and she just wants to feed me. She's 2. She doesn't understand a weight cut or anything like that.
Mhm.
But all that being said, it's going great. I've I've always been tried to be very professional and track everything, as far as like being a woman with my hormones and my cycle, and um, being careful of what I eat and how my body reacts to it. So, I mean, that's part of my job as a professional athlete. So, I take my job very, very seriously, and it's going great.
Okay. How do you see the fight playing out? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
My abs have abs right now.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Little flex. I like it. I don't mind that. That's good to hear. So again, we're excited for the return. I was just going to ask you how you see the fight playing out on February 15th. How do you see it going down?
If she wants to stand up and strike with me, I'm gonna knock her out. I have the power. I just need the opportunity. I remember against Misha Tate, in the second round, she got a little brave and wanted to do a little stand up. And in that single exchange that we had, she said that she took more damage than 5 rounds with Holly Holm. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
Then she quickly switched up her game plan and went back to the ground, which, I mean, it was smart. If it goes to the ground, I've been working a lot of that. Like I said, I have 2 good knees now, so I'll be able to move. When I was in my last fight, I remember trying to post up on my knee, and it just popping in and out of socket. So it was a very complicated surgery.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so anyways, yeah, I'm prepared for going the distance. I don't shy away from hard work. I'd love a knockout, preferably me knocking her out. Um, but we'll see. I'm At the end of the day, the long and short of it is I'm gonna have my hand raised, and that's what I'm planning for. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want to break faces, not hearts.
There you go. Got to get that on a shirt. I want my 10%. As far as like your career, like this year and stuff, obviously you're getting back. The big thing is, getting to the fight, having the fight, all that stuff. Is it just kind of fight to fight for you right now? Or do you have some goals you want to have for this year? Like what's sort of your outlook for the rest of the year? Not looking past the 15th, obviously.
Right now, it's just fight to fight. I want to look how this plays out. I've never really had a break, so I'm going to focus on my jujitsu a little bit more, regardless of whatever happens. I love competing in jujitsu. I haven't really had the opportunity to compete in jujitsu since I've been fighting. I mean, competitions here and there, but nothing habitual. I know that the UFC now has the UFC or the Fight Pass Invitational,
Right.
so I want to try to get on there. Maybe do something a little bit more healthy for me. I walk. I I cut weight like a guy, and it's exhausting.
Mhm.
And so I want to compete at a healthier weight for me. I want to walk around at a healthier weight for me. I'm really prone to injury when I'm this small. So I really want to open up my athletic avenues and try
Okay.
to broaden that.
So would you say then that like 135, you'd probably want to compete up a weight class if you had the opportunity, is what you're saying? Because you're saying you're small now. Does that mean that bantamweight is not really an ideal class for you?
No, so if I want to be competitive, fighting at bantam is what I should be doing.
Mhm.
I don't walk at 170, so can't. I'm not going to cut to 145. Um, 145 or featherweight is a little bit more ideal, but I would have to put on a little bit more muscle. And given my age, it's just going to be difficult.
Mhm.
So that avenue is just isn't open for me, at least not without some horse meat.
Right. I know what you mean. Though maybe the ones that Alistair Overeem had, that horse meat, that might help a
Right.
little bit. So yeah, that's good. Um, just quickly before we go, just wanted to ask you about a couple other things. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on in the women's divisions this Saturday. I don't know if you're paying attention or not, but there's the strawweight title fight: Weili Zhang, Taitana Suarez. What do you think of that fight? Because Taitana, she's someone that's struggled with just competing. There's been a lot of injuries, but she also hasn't lost. And then you've got Weili Zhang, who hasn't fought in over a year or close to a year. Last fight, Yan Chunan. What do you make of that fight? What are your thoughts on that?
That is going to be such an exciting fight to watch. Um, I think Weili doesn't have a break button, and neither does Tatiana. So there's just going to be two bulls coming in. I feel like Tatiana has a lot more skill.
Mhm.
Obviously, she's amazing on the ground, but there's just a fire in her, and you can see it in her eyes. But there's a fire in her that you can't train someone to have that.
Mhm.
Um, and there are very few people that I see that have that just innate primal drive. And so I don't think it's going to go 5 rounds. And I think Tatiana is going to be very dominant.
Okay. I feel the same way actually, and I was surprised. I mean, I understand it, but I was surprised to see on the betting odds that Weili was the favorite. I get it because she's the champion and accomplished a lot and been more active. But Taitana, I think, is just such an interesting matchup with the wrestling and just so much that she brings to the table. So I'm really excited for that one this Saturday. I just want to ask you about two other fights that are coming up. Manon Fiorot, it looks like she is going to fight Valentina Shevchenko at some point this year. I know you're not a flyweight, but I'm curious what you think of that because obviously Fiorot's got the stand up, as does Valentina. It could be a really interesting fight for the flyweight title.
I don't like the smack talk that's going on between the two.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It seems very forced.
Mhm.
Valentina's very athletic and her fighting style just speaks for itself. She doesn't need a smack talk. And so her retaliating to Manon Fior is just, it seems kind of funny. Um, I I think that one's not going to be as exciting to watch. I think it's going to be really hesitant. Um, but it'll be it'll be a good fight. It'll be fun. But it's just not going to be exciting. It's going to
Okay.
be kind of like a drag out 5 round. No one's really going to pull their trigger because they're both just not wanting to test the waters.
Okay. Interesting. Who would you give, who would you give the edge to in that fight? Do you think Valentina or do you think Manon can do it or?
Shevchenko. No, she's
Okay.
Shevchenko. I will pick her 9 times out of 10.
Okay. And just last one I wanted to ask you about, again, not confirmed yet, but I think eventually it'll happen. Juliana Pena got to defend her title. I would think Kayla Harrison's going to be next. Just, also your thoughts on Kayla just coming to the UFC. She's got the 2 wins. Juliana winning the title was a close fight with Raquel. What are your thoughts on that potential fight and who you think could potentially win that?
I think Kayla Harrison's a stud. I think similar to me, the 35 division is not for her, but I believe, walks heavier than I do. I mean, she has the muscle mass to walk heavier and compete heavier. Obviously, she has, and done it successfully. I think, honestly, she doesn't have a lot of competition in the bantam division. Now, as far as her coming in and getting a straight shot to the belt, I think that's kind of ridiculous. You got to earn your stripes, right? I've always said that. I've always held myself to that. But she'll eventually become the bantam champion. Now, whether that's going to be healthy for her, I can't really speak to that.
Do you think in this particular fight she can beat Juliana, or do you think that that's too much of a hurdle for her?
Oh yeah, she can beat Juliana.
Okay.
Juliana has a good skill set, but I just don't think she's. You got to be active, and she just hasn't had the activity. It played out in my fight, like having that veteran status and like having those fights under you and having that consistency really outweighs your record.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But who am I, right? I'm just,
you're a bantamweight. I think people want to hear your opinion about the stuff, especially since it's your division. So that's why I was like getting the fighter's perspective on these things. Thank you so much for doing this. It was good to talk to you. We're looking forward to it. UFC Fight Night, February 15th, day after Valentine's Day. How does it work with Valentine's Day? Do you do it after, I'd imagine?
I mean,
or do you do it the night before?
Yeah, weigh-ins are the day of Valentine's. So I have a surprise for anyone that I bump into. I'm gonna get little Valentine's Day cards. So
yeah, that's great. Not just punching people in the face, doing some stuff.
My fight shirt actually says "Break faces, not hearts."
That's right. All right. Anyone you want to thank before we get out of here? Any sponsors? Any social media you want to mention? I'll give you the last word.
Gosh, there's so many people that I want to thank. First and foremost, thank God for giving me the opportunity to fight and to represent him and the gifts that he's bestowed me. I want to thank my friends and my fans for pushing me, for attending my classes, for being great training partners.
and the UFC. The UFC is by far the best platform that is out there for us to do what we do best, just break people. I know that there's a lot of other circuits. There's a lot of other circuits out there now, promotions, and everyone's just trying to replicate what's already perfect. So, screw them. But I'll have a shirt for sale. All my sponsors are on there. You can check them out. They're amazing. And most of them are local to Oklahoma City. So check them out. Thanks.